Right, good evening and welcome to your most authoritative evening political show, Hot News. We are live on Pan-African Television. We're also live on Facebook at Pan-African Television, live on YouTube at Pan-African Television, as well as 48 African countries. You can join in the conversation by sending in your views, comments, and contributions on our WhatsApp /text line. I'll be reading those messages out for you. Those of you watching us on Facebook can share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch tonight's edition of the program. Don't forget to leave your suggestions, questions, contributions, and all of that on our socials, especially on Facebook, and I'll be reading those messages also out for you. My name is Justice Appiah, and tonight on Hot News, we are looking at the 2024 media budget review that was presented in Parliament by the Finance Minister, Honorable Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam. We would focus our attention on the health sector, and in the media budget review that was presented, the Finance Minister focused on health service delivery. He talked about connecting, health centers, hospitals digitally, and the fact that patient data have been really synchronized for work to be made so simple. He talked about some hospitals that were upgraded, others that were completed, and of course he talked about some, cheap compounds also. We would also be looking at the National Health Insurance Scheme. He mentioned that also in, his presentation. And then finally, he also touched on the nursing and teacher training allowances. We'll go into details of all these things that were mentioned under the health sector in the document that was presented in Parliament by the Finance Minister when he was presenting the Mid-Year Budget Review 2024. I've been joined in the studio tonight for this discussion by Honorable Dr. Nawani. He's a Member of Parliament for NAPDAM and a deputy ranking on the Health Committee in Parliament. Doc, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you too. Good evening to the viewers of Pan-African Television. I've always said that your viewers always are, they are so educated.
Very well.
Yes, on the issues that I believe that no political party or individuals can sway them. There are people, I believe, that they can take their own decision.
That is true.
Yes.
All right, well, now let's move straight to business. The Finance Minister, Honorable Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, presented the 2024 media budget review. Were your expectations met?
Let me just start with Parliament in general these days. Honestly speaking, this particular session of Parliament has been a complete failure.
Okay.
It appears that the government side, that is the majority side, are not ready for any business.
Okay.
And the problems has compounded with the change in the leadership of the majority side. It appears that the new leadership bench are not able to reach compromises with the minority side, who always happen to be the majority side in the chamber. And so we have a situation where we go, what we are supposed to even discuss, or the work that they were supposed to do, we happen not to be able to do them. There's no agreement as to what we should do. They just try to push in Nicodemously certain work that is not planned for.
Right.
Yes. Or they did not discuss it with the leadership of the minority side. And when that happens, and we realize that there is an obvious problem. Yes, we actually oppose it on the floor.
Okay.
And sometimes we have to call for this 64, which tells us that the number of people who are supposed to carry out government business is not enough. Yes, we sometimes it's used, and the work is truncated, and honestly, you can't be a happy MP now.
Okay.
Because of the way the parliament is run. Even on the day that the finance minister was supposed to come, yes, there was obviously so many bridges that we had to cross before we came and listened to him, and so we reported quite late. And so we should now be thinking about, the type of leadership that we have, especially from the majority side.
Right.
Yes, they should start thinking about it and see whether for the government side, are they up to the task of being called majority leaders? Yes, because there's a lot of boardroom negotiations and activities that are supposed to be done before we come to the floor of parliament.
In other words, are you saying that you are not reaching consensus in parliament? There's no consensus between the minority and that of a majority?
Not only reaching consensus, but just probably an agreement. They can, or the majority side are not ready to do government business. They were accusing us that
they should rather be interested in government business.
Exactly.
So if you're saying that, if you're accusing them of not being interested in government,
there are always few in the chamber. We are the minority side, where we are always in the chamber in our numbers. Some of them are following the flag bearer, but I believe that it's not only that, because the flag bearer cannot be in 20 places or 30 places at the same time.
True.
Yes. President Mahama will be coming to the Upper East. That's this weekend.
Right.
And I have to make sure that I'm there before he comes. Yes. And so if I'm not in parliament for that, let's say a week or two, I cannot claim that because President Mahama is coming to Upper East. That's why I'm not in the chamber. Yes. And so we our work is not, I don't think the work is going on so well. And that is why the Speaker of Parliament decided, when the majority side, after you don't come to work, you now want extension of the days. That was absurd. Because when we go to work, sometimes at 10, we will start work at 2 o'clock. Sometimes 3, sometimes 4 o'clock. From 10 o'clock, what are we doing? Where are the members? And when they call us to the chamber, sometimes you have them less than 20, the majority side. And so we in fact, they have a lot of work to do, and they are not ready for any work. And I believe that's the reason why we are even on recession.
What do you think might have accounted for their unreadiness? I mean, for their reluctant, attitude of always being present in parliament?
Justice. Let the dead bury their dead. It appears that I wouldn't know individually what are the causes, but I think that these are problems that they really, as a caucus, needed to sit down and talk about it. And see the way forward. And see the way forward. The only time they were there in their numbers, and even still they were not up to us, was when they came to read the media budget. Yes. And after that, they were not ready to even debate the media budget, And when they came, just some few people who came to debate the media budget, and so most of the sections, there was no debate on it.
Isn't it because we are in a political season where some few months are away from the general elections, and so most of these members of parliament would want to be in their constituencies working, to retain their seats?
Yes, but I don't think it is only the majority side that need to be in their constituencies. Apart from that, I've been, this is my third time I'm going for elections.
True.
Yes. You should know what you want to do. You can plan for a weekend visit to your constituency.
Right.
You can plan for the executives to do certain preparations whilst you join them later. So I don't see how we should abandon the parliamentary job because we want re-election. If that is the case, then I would rather ask our conscience to tell us that no, go back and do that work, and when you do it well, then we will elect you.
To what extent?
If you are not going to do that work well, then why are you even seeking the next one?
Right.
What you have at hand, you are not handling it well, and you want the next one. What type of behavior is that?
To what extent is the absence affecting parliamentary business?
They play politics, you see. Recently, they were playing politics that when our minority leader goes to court, we follow him to court. And but they were not telling the public that they, even without any other reason, do not come to parliament. We, at least, we follow him there. When they close the court case, we come back to parliament and carry out government business. They don't come there at all, or sometimes they remain in their offices. They don't come into the chamber. Yes, and that is what the MPP government. Their day, I don't know, but it shows that their days are practically over, and they are not ready for anything.
Right.
Yes, and they bring loans, and wanting us to approve loans for them. I think that if you really need those loans, and if it's not a secret protest that is within their government, then they should have come to approve their own loans. Why should I, after you've borrowed up to 714 billion Ghana cedis, why should I come and sit down there and be approving loans for you? For what? What are you going to do? You've borrowed 714 billion. You've not been able to do anything with it. Now you want us to come and then help you to borrow more. They used to say that the NDC people used to create, loot, and share, which of course was not the case. But we used to, at least they say create. We used to work. They are borrowing and looting and sharing. Borrow, loot, and share is what is now happening.
But for instance, if they are borrowing and you think that enough of the borrowing, and
yes,
so there's a need for us to stop the borrowing, their absence in parliament should serve an opportunity for the minority to stop some of these things. And so you should be happy about it.
We are not happy, not because because of the loans, but they should have been there to also say that yes, we are Ghanaians. We've seen that our government have borrowed a lot, and so we are not going to allow our own government to borrow. That is men. So you face the issues.
Okay.
You don't run away. You don't chicken out.
Do you think that they are running away from
they
their
are
own
running away from their own business?
I see. Yes.
They are running away from their own business. And I'm afraid that, you can distort the truth for some time, you can contort the truth at other times, but you can never kill the truth. The truth of the matter is that the MPP government has failed woefully. It is the West government. The Akufo-Addo government is going to go.
The MPP government has failed woefully, and
yes,
it's the West government.
Yes, it's the West. The Akufo-Addo government.
But per the media budget review that was presented in Parliament by the Finance Minister, he has a contrary view to what you are saying. He believes that government is doing well.
Let me just tell you the truth. Until this government goes out of power, we will never get to know the truth.
Okay.
So if Ghanaians want us to reset this country from the basis of the truth, what the parameters really are,
Okay.
this government has to go on power, go out of power. You know, and I'm saying this to the Ghanaian voters. Look, we speak to the figures that they are, the agencies or the statistical authority, etc., they bring. But until NPP goes out of power, we will never know the truth.
For instance,
they always report Central Bank is making a loss of, in fact, they've made a loss up to about over 60 billion. The last time they made a loss, it was around 60.5 billion Ghana cedis.
Right.
Look, these losses they are making, let me just tell you a simple fact. It's just like the Champon time, where they just go to use paper and ink and bring cedis to pay workers. It's just like the last time those things used to happen was in the Champions time.
Okay.
And it is happening now. But unless they go out of government, they will always continue to beat us with their reporting system, to beat us with the way they present information to us. You know, let me go to some of your topics, which I believe that you understand the workings of Parliament and how sometimes as a parliamentarian you are handicapped. Yes. This Agenda 111, when it came and wanted the source of funding.
Right.
The first source of funding was the COVID fund. $100 million of it was put aside for this Agenda 111. And it was in the budget. They claimed they will finish up to 50 of them.
Yes.
We are all in Ghana here. We'll see whether they can commission 50. But I'll come to that.
You are a ranking member.
Yes.
On the Committee of
Yes.
Health in Parliament.
And
I know that you have been, making your own assessment. You've been visiting the sites of some of these hospitals and all of that. What is the real situation on the ground? If you think that they are unable to finish up to the 50
real situation, the real situation is that they have arranged, they've done what we call a block work.
Okay.
In some areas. In some areas, nothing at all is happening.
Right.
Yes, just like in Nabdam, they are at the foundation level. They have taken pictures of those things and they are telling Ghanaians that they are about to finish the hospital. But please, me and you, we have all built before. We have, I have started foundation and built 2 hospitals. At least from the foundation.
I know for a fact.
Yes, yeah. I didn't buy them from anybody. And I'm telling you that what they have done is not hospitals.
But what are those? If you say they are not hospitals,
what they have done is an attempt to put up the buildings. And this level that they've gotten to, they've not done what we call the finishing.
How should a complete hospital look like?
Look, a complete hospital is a place where you go for diagnosis.
Okay.
Receive your treatment. If there's a need for you to go for diagnostic center analysis and laboratory analysis, you go for it. If there's a need for you to be admitted, for them to carry out further treatment or checks on you, yes, they should be able to admit you.
Okay.
And you have to start operations sometime between 3 to 6 months. And you are supposed to be certified by the Health Facilities Regulatory Authority in Ghana here before you are called a hospital.
Okay.
I'm challenging them to be able to start one hospital in 3 months and for it to be certified by the Health Facilities Regulatory Authority to be called a hospital.
In other words, are you saying that it is practically impossible
I'm
for government to
challenging
be able
them
to finish
that they
these
should
hospitals,
finish
the
one
50
hospital,
that they will be commissioning
operate for
within
about 3 months, and let the Health Facilities Regulatory Authority come and certify them as a hospital in Ghana, for them to be able to operate in Ghana.
By your analogy, is that a complete hospital? You've given
What they have done,
what a complete
what
hospital
they have
should
done
look like.
is, you see, the common man looking at it will think that they have done so well. They've roofed some of the buildings in green colors and all those. That is not a hospital. You are still very, very far away.
Were they right when they said that the John Mahama administration did not finish the University of Ghana Medical Center because it was just a building putter?
No,
there were no
the phase
equipment
one
in there.
The phase one was in operation. They were seeing patients, yes, the outpatient.
Even before you left government?
It was the phase two.
Okay.
That they came to complete.
Okay.
But I'm saying that I just want them to put that place in order and let people be sitting down, consulting, seeing patients, diagnosing them and giving them treatment. This is what I want them to do. And let's even if it is not a complete hospital, it is still a hospital. And so let us. I mean, look, this government is not treating Ghanaians fairly. You have about $200 million. That's big money. And now it is about 3 billion Ghana cedis. You take you yourself as an individual, that you have some amount of money, which can build about 12 hospitals. 12 hospitals is not bad. You can build, the president said he will finish it in a year, then went to 18 months. And now we are now going to 5 years, 6 years, and it still remains uncompleted. Build, you can build 12 hospitals. What makes you to lay foundation or to try to build 110 hospitals from the money? This is where we have to look through.
There was a reason.
The reason is simple. They wanted to give 110 contracts. And why are they in an indecent...
So it was just a matter of giving contracts.
Very good. Why were they in an indecent haste? Very indecent haste to give out contracts. But 110 out of money that they could build and complete 12 hospitals. Because each of the hospitals was, by the budget statement that came initially was $17.5 million. So if you have $200 million, you can build 12 of them. That is not bad by itself. But they could have boasted that, yes, we have finished 12 hospitals. But they decided to award 110. What is in the process of procurement? What is in the process of awarding contracts that they didn't want any other person to come and continue with their work? And they had to agree to award 110 contracts instead of 12.
You and I would agree that initially the president said he was going to build 88 hospitals.
88, yes.
And he later revised it to 111.
11, yes.
This is because COVID had exposed us. At the time, he made the promise during COVID.
Yes.
And that was to ensure that our hospitals or the country had that capacity to be able to withstand some of these pandemics if we are plagued or we are hit with.
COVID exposed us. COVID made us to understand that there's a need to build and operate more hospitals.
Yes.
But identifying the problem.
Hence the decision by the president to take that decision.
No. That you look at your resources. You see, if the fact that you have identified a problem doesn't mean that you should immediately go on to try to solve everything at once. You look at your resources, and if you've got resources for 12 hospitals.
You think that it was bad for the president to make that decision?
That decision of building 111 hospitals at the same time, is fake. It's undesirable. It's not going to help
you think
anybody.
that the president rather meant well for this country?
These hospitals, I'm telling you that I believe that by the next 10, 15 years, with the current budgetary allocations, it will take almost 20 years for us to complete them.
20 years?
Yes! With the current budgetary allocation, at the moment, most of the contractors have left side. They are waiting. When the government gets something small, it will bring. There is no defined
budget. How much
did they allocate
for these projects?
Unlike NDC, there's no defined source of funding. You look through the budget, you are able to see that this is the allocation that has been given to the
Agenda 111.
Agenda 111. Then somewhere along the line, when they want to make any this thing, then the office of the president will just release some amount of money. Then it is distributed. Like some small boys playing a game. You contractor, take this, go back to site. They go back to site, when the money finishes, they run back. But you know what they told us at the committee level, when they were coming to present this Agenda 111?
No.
When we asked them of the source of funding and why, so many hospitals at the time. Do you know what they asked us? Or what they told us? That do you think that in Ghana we can't get 111 people who can build all those hospitals and finish within 1 year?
111 people?
Yes.
Individuals?
Individuals.
To sponsor?
Very good. That was before the 2020 elections.
So they were counting on individuals to build.
They were saying that the MPP people, they had, I don't have that much money, but the MPP people had people who would just build those hospitals, and probably that will help them to win elections, and later on they'll take their money. This, in principle, was what they told us. When we asked that how were they going to fund all this, and they asked that question.
Does it mean that the intention was to award those 111 contracts to 111 members of the MPP who can build it from scratch and later get their money from government?
That is what I, the layman, understood that.
Also, those were the deductions you made.
Yes.
From what they said
from
at the
what they
committee
said,
level.
That it is. Obviously they have up to 111 people who can get that 17.5 million amount, and they award them the contracts. Then they are able to complete those hospitals.
Okay.
This is what, and that they will be paid, of course. They were going to win the next 4 years, and if you have trust in them, then they will pay them. And so, Ghanaians, that is the situation. And this type of governance, honestly speaking, is not going to help anybody. The committee, sometimes they come out with false information, and they because you don't have information about what they are doing, they are able to get through the committee. And that's why the parliamentary committees, you realize that we are able, we sometimes speak, we sometimes try to delay, but in the long run, most often, the government of the day, they are able to get their way through, because there are certain things that, the information that comes at the time that they bring it to the committee. Somewhere along the line, you realize that no, that information is not accurate, but it will be too late.
All right. Okay, so now let's look at the National Health Insurance.
Yes,
this is an issue you have always spoken about passionately.
Exactly.
But this is what the finance minister said in this document. He said, Mr. Speaker, as part of government's efforts to increase access to health service, the National Health Insurance Authority reviewed the benefit package to include childhood cancers, prostate cancer, mental health care, annual health check, dialysis services, and care for sickle cell patients. Mr. Speaker, by the end of 2024, so by the end of December 2024, the NHIS intends to increase enrollment of active members from 14.5 million, representing 44.3% coverage, to 20.8 million, representing 63.5% of the total population. NHIS will also intensify satisfaction on the electronic enrollment platforms by introducing cashless payments, integration with GIFMIS platform, e-receipts, and e-payments. What is the current state of the NHIS?
What I've got to say is this. Since the idea of creating social health insurance scheme was muted, that is during the Rawlings time.
Right.
And so we had some one or two of them, they did their test runs, and later on the Kufuor government came and took over and established a district mutual health insurance scheme. It was after that that the Atamel's Muhammad government also came and moved it from the district mutual health insurance scheme to the National Health Insurance Commission, which is now the National Health Insurance Authority. Never has allocations of funds to them been cut off like it is being done now. Yes. I remember that by 2016, when we were leaving power, about 82% of the money that was collected by NHIA had been given to NHIA. 82%.
Okay.
Now, this government came because of what we call capping. Capping.
Right.
It has never allocated anything up to 70% to NHIA. Sometimes it's 63%, sometimes 65%, even 58%. There were even years that practically very low percentages of the money that is collected for NHIA. You can always know the amount because they are all calculated. It's a percentage of, it's a consumption tax. So it's a percentage of that consumption tax. And so they can always collect it. And the law says that when you collect that money in 30 days time, give it to NHIA, pay it to the NHIA bank accounts for them to pay into to pay service providers and also run its bureaucracy. What this government does is that first, when it collects the money, this rule, as a committee, we always ask that they should obey it.
Right.
They never did. And when they have collected the money, it's only part of it which is given to NHIA, like I've said already. Yes. Sometimes less than 60%. And this is the reason why when you go to hospitals,
Right,
you have to pay. Because the tariff structure is below what the NHIA would have wished to have. The tariff are less. They've carried out an actuarial study which suggests that they should increase the tariffs.
right.
Yes, but they have to get clearance from the Ministry of Finance. And I believe that the delay in implementing these actuarial studies is because the Ministry of Finance is not ready to increase its allocations. They are always happy to announce to Ghanaians, we have given 800 million cedis for NHIA people to be paid. What are you supposed to pay that you have given only 800 million? What percentage of the bill have you paid with your 800 million? So they give absolute figures to the public as if they've done well. But in real fact, they always have arrears to pay since time immemorial. I must say that recently, in terms of what they have agreed to pay, there have been a little bit of a shift than previously. Yes, I mean, they've paid up the number of months. I think it's left with about 5 to 6 months, right. But they've paid up. But the issue is that they've been able to pay up this number of months because they have held the tariffs down. And a study that was carried out showed that Ghanaians, the health insurance was paying less than 50% of the hospital bills of Ghanaians.
Right.
Less than 50%. Which means that Ghanaians are paying more than 50% of their own bills when you go to hospital. And I always want to, when I'm speaking, I want you to, you the individual who is in the house there, who has ever gone to hospital,
okay,
look at your circumstances and just tell the truth. Whether when you went, because you had health insurance, it was free or not. And make up your decision as regards whether things are going well or not. Indeed, I'm not blaming any one hospital or even I'm not blaming the NHIA. What I'm blaming is the government of the day. This, we have requested they should decap the health insurance fund. They should give them all their money.
Okay. What is this? What is this capping?
Capping means that a certain percentage, usually about 30, almost 30%, but it varies from one institution to the other.
Okay.
Of the revenue that you collect, which is supposed to come to you, part of it is taken back by the government for the general pool, for other purposes. So even though in the name of NHIA they have collected 100% of a certain quantum of money,
that 100% would not come to NHIA.
Will not come to NHIA.
A certain percentage would rather come to NHIA. And then the rest will be...
That is even against the law. It's against the law. Because
if it is against the law, then why is government perpetrating that?
Yes, in the name of the sick. They've used regulations.
Right.
Or some other lower guidelines or something, or regulations to make sure that they take that money. But if you go to the law says that when you collect all the money in the name of the sick, in the name of NHI, give all the money to them. The law does not state that you should give a certain percentage to them.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
and so we still have problems to you know. They claim they are doing well with prostate, childhood cancer,
yes. And now they've even added
all these things,
mental health and then dialysis services.
We are calling for them to add mental health. Because mental health, they claim mental health is free in Ghana. But in actual fact, they are not funding it. They are not giving them enough money.
I was about to come to the dialysis services.
The dialysis services...
Because you know that it is very expensive. Is government able to fund it?
Government, that's what I'm saying, that these knee-jerk solutions, it's not a way to go. Kolobu will make some small noise. They look for money, 4 million, 3 million, and go and pay to them and tell them that they should start operating. And later on, we'll sort you out. Then when it finishes, Kolobu will get up and will I sometimes pity the administrators at Kolobu. They will have to rise again and make some noise. Then they try to sort them out. What they are claiming they are helping the NHIA with dialysis is just 2 million Ghana cedis, which was allocated from the NHIA fund. I was there live.
Okay.
When that amount was allocated, there was no line for dialysis. And so we tried to create a line, which means that in subsequent years, there's the possibility that much more money can be allocated for the patients who need dialysis treatment.
Right.
But at the moment, 2 million is just like the tip of an iceberg.
It's just minute.
Very small. It's simply not enough. Yeah, and they're always happy to report some of these things in their media review, you know. In fact, if you look at even their zip line operations, where they use drones to carry
the blood and other medicines to, you know.
And I went there. I went there. It was very, very nice to look at the way when the drones are being launched, and they carry medicines, etc. I decided to look inside the building and see the type of drugs that were there. On the day that I went, there were no blood products. What they saw, there was this para, this blood tonic, this ORS, common medications, flucloxacillin, amoxicillin, common
those
drugs.
ones are common.
They are those
they
drugs.
They could be found anywhere.
Okay. Exactly. They could be found anywhere. And so instead of getting them to their places where they should be, there was nothing like any vaccine for snake or anything like that. They were just these common drugs, and they would load them and carry them across, you know. And the only time that they become useful, probably, is when sometimes they are transporting vaccines. But we have to get vaccines across to various areas at the right time.
Right.
But if you delay in carrying your vaccines and you now want to use drones, and when they were bringing these drones bill, you know what they told us? That it was going to be self-financing. First of all, they did not need any money to build the stations. That one I agree. But it is take or pay.
Okay.
Either you take their services and you pay for it, or you don't render, they don't render any services, but at the end of the month, you still have to pay them. And they have now sneaked into the NHIA formula. This year, they are receiving as much as 70 million Ghana cedis. That's big money.
Right.
You could have built a lot of chip compounds. Yes. Okay. You could have built as many as 30 or more chip compounds in Ghana. 70 million is being given to them from, according to the NHIA formula. They've sneaked it there, and they know what they are doing. Yes, they know what they are doing. Now and they are always very happy to inform Ghanaians that we are the #1 in the world in the usage of drones. Do you think that we should be #1 in the usage of drones for medical purposes in the world? If it was something that was well patronized, you mean we will beat America, we will beat Canada, we will beat Australia, we will beat China, Russia, etc., and be #1?
Unfortunately, no.
This our take or pay is what is keeping them there.
Right.
Whether we use them to work or we don't use them,
we must pay.
We must pay. Yes, and that is also too bad for Ghana.
Now let's also look at
and that is the brainchild of the vice president.
Right.
That's his baby.
Let's stay a bit on the health insurance scheme.
Yes.
Payment to the service providers.
Yes.
There have been several times that the service providers were complaining that they've offered their services, yet payments are not coming. Some had even threatened not to offer their services anymore and all of that. What is the situation currently? Because that wasn't captured.
Yeah, the situation, like I said, probably is only better than I've been in it since its inception.
Yes.
2005. I went to private practice in 1999. So I was in private practice before the health insurance scheme.
Okay.
And I joined them around 2006 that way. And so there have been instances where we've even gotten to 10 months, 11 months. So now that we have got about 5-6 months,
right,
I think that it is better. But in terms of payment, or what they have agreed to pay, but in terms of tariffs, they have had the tariffs down. You know that the operations of hospitals are dollar indexed.
yes,
When I say dollar indexed, practically everything is imported.
yes,
Our equipment are imported, our drugs are imported, our detergents, etc., they are all imported. And so they've been able to do this because of the fact that the tariffs
right,
are now quite low compared to previous figures. And there have been people who have been suggesting that probably we need to look for money, extra money. I agree that somewhere along the line we might have to start thinking about that if we want to sustain the health insurance system. And some people have suggested using part of our oil revenue, which is now being used for free SHS.
Free SHS, yeah.
Part of it should also be used for the National Health Insurance Scheme. But before we talk of that one, let us try to take all the money that people have paid already to the NHIA. Let's give them everything. And if that is not enough, then we can go around searching for other ways to fund the NHIA. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Yes. Why should we go around looking for other sources of funding when what is due them is not being given to them? And that even goes against the law, except that, of course, I don't know, probably the lawyers, the lawyers have to explain to us. Yes. So the NHIA, as we speak now, things are far from adequate. Yes, things are far from adequate. I've seen that the new boss is very enthusiastic about adding up a lot of things like free medical care and all those sort of things. Yes, but the Arabs will not help if we don't find extra resources or we don't fight for NHIA, the resources that is due them to be given to them. Because we're just politically adding them without financially thinking of how to boost resources will not help the NHIA. Yes, so you know, I'm hoping that as a country, you know, we should look at these activities. And President Mahama has stated in so many instances that when we come, these capping things, you know, not only in the health sector, but so many, the Food and Drugs Board, their authority, they are supposed to go around inspecting to make sure that the restaurants and the chop bars and other things are all operating according to the regulations. You know, they are all being capped. And so you don't have inspectors going around to see that these restaurants, these abattoirs and food shops, etc., they are doing the work according to the rules. And so you have a lot of indecent places where people have to go and eat.
Very well.
Yes. And so it is not easy. Yes, practically all the agencies.
Now let's look at enrollment. He says, Mr. Speaker, by the end of 2024, the NHIS intends to increase enrollment of active members from 14.5 million, representing 44.3%, to 20.8 million, representing 63.5% of the total population. So as it stands now, we have just about 14.5 million people who have been enrolled, and government is looking forward that by the end of this year, it will get to 20.8 million people. Look, is this feasible?
Everything is feasible under this NHIA. We could go to figures up to 70, 80 if we do what we are supposed to do. Because now, the NHIA is linked to our Ghana cards.
Yes.
We have the computer and our phones. You don't need to go to the NHIA office now to register. These are the good things that actually, I must say that the NHIA has made progress. At first you had to go to the office queue to be registered,
Yes.
But now you can do all those things. If you have a Ghana card, you can even link it with a Ghana card, so that you don't need a special card called the NHIA card. And so, what is stopping people from registering now is not the inconvenience, it's not the money, because it's just 20 Ghana cedis or something. It's not the money, it's not the inconvenience. What is stopping people from registering is this, should I call it illegal, or should I call it co-payments? It's not a typical co-payment or co-insurance. These payments that we do at the hospital, this is what is making people to think that the NHIA, even though it's working or not working, they cannot tell. They seem not to see how they can benefit from NHIA if they go to the hospitals and they still have to pay. So, this figure 63.5% is well, it's an estimate, but we could do better than that.
Okay.
We could far do better than that. I believe that even if we had done our homework very well, by now we should be approaching 100%.
Wow.
Because Ghanaians are ready to access healthcare in Ghana here. And if you tell them that if you go to hospital, you are not going to pay anything, if you have the NHIA, and you've got to pay that small amount, it's a social insurance system.
It's true.
Yes, and people will be ready to go for it now. And it's very, very easy now to access it.
Right. I'll come back to you with a claim that has been made here, and this one has to do with the teacher and nurses training allowances. But let me take a few of our messages. We'll wrap up with that one. This one says, this is a brave heart of the streets of Nigeria crying for good governance. Well, we are discussing Ghana. This one says, Mr. Host, the budget review and fiscal policy decision of government presented by the finance minister is completely empty. And there's no hope in the budget review. The option we have as Ghanaians is to be resolved in unison, to vote out this nepotistic, nefarious, and nitwit government appointees mismanaging, misapplying, and misappropriating our scarce resources in fulfillment of their ordinate desires. Ghanaian people, most especially the ordinary ones, should expect more excruciating economic hardship occasioned by this clueless and inept government. Written by Ernest Everlove Kwashi in Dansoman. Ernest, thank you so much for your message. This one says, good evening, Justice. I am Samuel from Kumasi. Tell the NDC that if they capitalize on economic woes for winning the elections, they will be disappointed. The battle is more of spiritual than physical. They should call on their pastors and prophets for spiritual direction. If you are hungry and you would still vote for people who would keep you in hunger, then go ahead. Good evening to everyone. The next NDC government, the youth in Ghana will have a breath. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will bring back the toll booths. We will remove the COVID-19 taxes, and we will remove the sanitary pad taxes. The next NDC government will find jobs for the youth. Each student in free SHS will get a tablet for learning. Good evening to MP for Keta, Abochi Philip from Keta, sent in that one. Abochi Philip, thank you so much for your message. Let me take a last message, and then I'll come back to Honorable. This one says, the mid-year budget review by the finance minister is nothing but political gimmick by Napoleon in Tumu Sankofa base. Napoleon, thank you so much for your message. Now, Doc, we'll be wrapping up with this.
I'm happy that most of them are realizing that the mid-year budget statement,
yes,
it was not even a review, a statement.
Right.
You know, it's practically empty. It's an opportunity for self-aggrandizement, where they will state that we've done this,
right,
we intend doing that, but in actual fact, you realize that there's no enthusiasm, nothing to be happy about. And Ghanaians now know the truth more than we think. Yes.
Now, let's go to a claim that was made in this document, where the finance minister said government continues to honor the payment of training allowances. A total amount of 219 million Ghana cedis was paid as allowance to 104,000 nursing trainees from January to June 2024. Similarly, a total amount of 260 million has been released as allowance to 67,000 teacher trainees for the 2023-2024 academic year.
Justice.
Your reaction on this for us to wrap up.
Justice.
Honorable.
The Ghanaians during the 2016 elections simply did not want to probably reason with us. We did not say that we're going to cancel the nurses' allowance.
But what did you say?
We said we're going to substitute it with what is happening in all tertiary institutions. Nursing training is part of, training colleges are part of tertiary institutions. So in the polytechnic universities, in our usual universities, KNUST, Legon and UCC, and all other universities that are in the country, there was a way of funding which have stood the test of time and which was quite fair to everybody.
Right.
And that once you get your admission letter, you could assess what we call the student's loan. The student's loan, and you pay after you complete, then you do the payment. Now, I don't know, but I don't know how many students have been arrested because of student's loan. This is not a loan that somebody is going to be arrested.
I equally benefited from this.
Very good.
When I was doing my first degree.
Very good. This is not something that they arrest people because we will not be able to pay. You pay it out of patriotism, and you pay it gradually at your own pace and out of patriotism. You don't, so that some other people can access their loans.
Right.
But nobody is arrested for it. And now Ghanaians turn around and say that we are saying that we are cancelling the student loans, but they did not want to add that we intended to substitute it with the student's loan. Yes, we are cancelling their alawa. And this government came and promised them. And now I can tell you, they were paying them about sometimes 300 Ghana cedis or something. I mean, after some time, then, I mean, the money was first and foremost not dependable.
Very well.
It was irregular. It was deceiving your parents that their students were being paid. And so they did not need to take up their responsibilities.
Yeah.
This amount of money, there are students who have completed and who never benefited, who were not paid. This amount of money that was raised, do you know how it came about? When the Honorable His Excellency Bawumia went to some school and one of the nurses got up.
That was in the Bono region.
Yes. Is that the way for them to raise up that money and release it into a system? And And not all of them go to.
Just about 104,000 people.
Some of them will get, a lot of them will not get, and they'll be owing them so many years. Some of them are now working as nurses. Some of them are now working as nurses, and that allowance not be paid. Who are we deceiving? Me, in fact, if I want to deceive anybody at all, it's better to deceive an adult.
Truly African.
To bless Headman Alomaso, who has been doing a yeoman's job, holding the fort for me here on the show. And I can confidently say without a doubt that I can now take a nice leave for about 3, 4, 5 months, and I'll be ably represented here by blessed Headman Alomaso. We just have a few months to the December polls, and campaigns have started. You have seen that the NDC and the MPP have all begun traversing the length and breadth of this country. I do hope and pray that they will campaign using